So I took the PA role, which me from like a awarded entrepreneur to like being a PA felt like this massive fall from grace and this kind of ego hit. But man, it was the best thing in the world. Like I would recommend any young entrepreneur do, because you're in the room with a successful entrepreneur looking at every move they make.
Steve Chapman is the co-founder of Shine Energy. Now with his new Venture Hyro, he's once again on the front lines of innovation.
I was a kid in Australia with no tech experience, with no VC backing, trying to take on Facebook.
What do you feel like most direct-to-consumer brands get wrong?
I'd say brand. Build a brand that looks legit, feels legit, has a tone of voice, has a position. If you met them at a bar, you understand who they are. And I would say...
Steve Chapman, welcome to The House Story.
Good to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Mate, really keen to just dive backwards and understand a bit about you and understand a bit about where you've come from, what your background is. So maybe you can kick us off and tell me about Steve as a kid.
Yeah, man, for sure. Grew up not far from here, went to Shaw School, which is just up the road.
Yeah.
Grew up in Mossman. Dad was a business owner, a small business owner. I just remember him working just forever and so hard, and every day I feel like I never saw him. And I think he told my mum, like, I'm not going to be around much when the kids are young because I'm just going to be kind of trying to build the business.
Oh, wow.
And that probably got me this chip on the shoulder when I would like go on a Sunday into the office and like sit and have my lunch around the boardroom table, his desk, and kind of tell him about all my achievements from the week and just like I have half an hour to kind of get some attention and feel like I've got his love and acceptance. And then my mum was also a small business owner, but kind of prioritized me and my brother. And my brother, 2 years older, but like a super worthy competitor from day dot. I feel like I always just tried to compete with him on everything, from Monopoly to wrestling, which was, look, I think kind of some drive there, some kind of like drive and strive for my dad's love, some unconditional love for my mum, good healthy balance for, I guess, entrepreneurship. And then as a kid, just loved anything to do with building businesses, making money. I'd start like a neighborhood newsletter. I did a neighborhood car wash business, newspaper routes. I then went into like eBay and got into that super early days and just the arbitrage, what you could buy in the US and sell to the Australian market. That was all fun. And then when I was 18, started at PwC just straight from high school, just because I thought entrepreneurship, I don't think was like a word that like a career path that your parents kind of gave you.
No. And
it was probably like looked down upon as a bit like sleazy car salesman kind of thing. And I was like, oh, business, like that's what I want to be. And then so I joined PwC as like an accountant straight from high school, and very quickly realized like I didn't love that. But was in my spare time reading books about Branson, and I saw Zuckerberg bought Instagram for like $1 billion after 18 months. And I was like, fuck, that's cool. Like I want to sell like a company to Facebook for $1 billion. So that was a business plan, and started FaceBuy, which was like this eBay meets Facebook marketplace, kind of like Facebook marketplaces before Facebook marketplaces. I'd hope they'd buy me and get into social commerce. They sued me instead, shut me down. And then I lost a bunch of money. And then from that realized like I needed to learn entrepreneurship, loved the journey, but like that fall hurt when I was 20 and felt like I'd lost everything at that point. From that journey, went into like an entrepreneurial apprenticeship with a billionaire and learned how to start and scale businesses and kind of be a right hand to that journey, and then end up starting my own with Shine, and that was like a healthy energy drink, and then with Hyro now. So
yeah,
very like business is kind of like a common thread throughout.
Yeah, there's a lot there, Steve. Okay, let's go back to finishing school. Did you go to uni?
Dropped out of uni.
Okay.
Yeah, like
how come?
Steve Jobs and all the greats. Yeah. Did you drop out as well?
Yep.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, look, I was at PwC and I was doing full-time work, part-time uni. And the only reason I was going to uni at the time was because like it was part of the contract for PwC to like finish it. But by the time I'd finished 2 years of full-time work, I like was like, that's not the promised land. Like the end of this degree of just more full-time work at PwC isn't what it's cracked up to be. And my parents were very proud of me. I think my dad cried when I told him I got the job at PwC, because for them, like dad was like such a poor like farm boy kind of when he was growing up. So getting a big corporate job in the city, and if I stuck there for 10 years, like a white picket fence and a BMW, and then I was like, it's not making me happy. And Jim Carrey talked about this when he talked about his dad. He said his dad was a very, very funny man, like funnier than Jim apparently. And His dad, though, was like super, super nervous around like throwing his family into financial stress. So he took a safe job as an accountant. And then years later, though, Jim's dad got fired from being an accountant and like made redundant, and it threw his family into all this stress anyway. And Jim took from that, like, if you can fail at something you don't want to do, you might as well try at something you do want to do. And that hit, man. That hit deep at the time. And I was like, my plan A or B or C or all the way down to Z should still lead to some sort of happiness. And I knew, like, being in PwC with the suit and tie on and like auditing Westpac's financial accounts, like, it's not going to make me happy. It's not going to light me up. It's not this like spark of entrepreneurial joy that I had when I was a kid, just like hustling on the street corner selling GHDs that I bought on, eBay. And so, yeah, I told my parents and I wrote a 16-page letter. I was like, hey guys, I'm dropping out of uni. Like, I'm going to go pursue this app idea. And I was like running nightclubs just to try and make ends meet from a rent perspective. And then was working on this app to try and, got bought out by Facebook was the initial plan.
So why did you end up at PwC initially? Was it just mum and dad encouraged you to go and get that sort of corporate style job?
I literally thought it was like the path to business. And as I said, entrepreneurship really wasn't like a job title that I got told about as an option. So business was like an insert keyword there, business. And then I was like, who's like big business? What's business? And there was like investment banking was probably like another option, or being a lawyer and stuff was probably too linked not to business. So like investment banking, let's say, was like the star of the North Star at the time. And then they went hiring straight from high school. You had to go do uni and like all these other stuff first. But like PwC and all the big four accounting firms were hiring straight from high school. And like, I was just a hungry kid. Like, I didn't want to wait 4 years to finish a degree to get into it. I convinced the HR girl at PwC to like let me start 2 weeks after my HSC. I was the youngest employee in Australia at the time.
Yeah, wow.
In the Sydney office. And then, yeah, thankfully did that early because I learned early that it wasn't for me as well.
And so then you went into Face Punch?
Face buy.
Face
it
buy.
felt like a face punch. Though.
It became a face punch.
I got a face punch from Facebook, yes.
And so how did you possibly land on that idea?
Man, I saw so many people doing these buy-sell swap groups in like Northern Beaches buy-sell swap, Mossman Mums buy-sell swap.
Yes.
It was just blowing up everywhere. And then within that group, there was like all these like little mini auctions that were happening on the comments. And then they were like trying to offline organize payment. And I was just like, that was just super messy. Like, what if we could introduce like a way to do an auction system, like a payment system? So it was like one of the first to integrate PayPal. I had like localized geographic ratings so you could see who's in your area. It had like integrations with Facebook and Twitter so you could see who's in your social graph, and kind of like there's a little bit of trust in the purchase, and you kind of go, oh, that person's a friend of a friend. I trust them a bit more, happy to do business there, versus I just saw the generation wasn't using eBay as much as the one before. Like, it felt a bit old school, didn't appeal to the next generation of shopper. And I thought Facebook would get into it. It already was organically happening in these kind of groups. I just wanted to build some infrastructure and an app around that. And look, it launched and it did really well. Like, we were one of the top lifestyle apps in the App Store, got tens of thousands of downloads. I won a bunch of awards and press and the top 25 entrepreneurs under 25 or some shit. And then, yeah, I think all that traction and attention probably got the wrong people's attention. And yeah, got a cease and desist letter one morning from Facebook's legal team. And then that was devastating because I had stitched my identity to like that like young hustler kind of kid who was about to sell it to Facebook for $1 billion and go sip mojitos on the beach. And then suddenly I had nothing to show for, I'd left PwC to go after it. I'd borrowed a bunch of money off my dad, who is not, as I said, a wealthy person, who's just worked his whole life for his retirement savings. And then I'd just lost it overnight thinking I was like able to take on Facebook. So, man, there's so many lessons in that. I think for me, that was the first time I really learned about humility and like the dark side of ego. And in my head, I had convinced myself I was far more talented than I was in reality. And for any first-time founder, swinging for the fence at your very first time, like swinging a baseball bat, like it's just a high chance you're going to miss. And I think going for first base, going for second base, like don't try and hit the greatest shot of all time the first time you ever hit a shot. And that's what it's kind of doing. Even Elon Musk, like look at the greats, like they have multiple kind of successful ventures and they keep leveling up. And now the guy's trying to take us to the moon and like change the world with electric cars. And I think that was after 40 years of like playing at like consistently harder levels. And I was just playing on hard mode from day one. And I was a kid in Australia with no tech experience, with no VC back in, trying to take on Facebook. And yeah, I got a punch face.
So take me through that moment. Like, what did you do next? You get this letter.
I was crying. It was just like walking up and down the hall. I had like no idea how I was going to tell my dad. I just felt like shame. I felt embarrassed. I honestly had no idea how I was going to tell anyone. Like, it was in my inbox and I was just like, I don't know what to do with this information. And eventually built up the courage. I think I forwarded it to my dad. Like, I didn't have the courage to tell him at the time. And then, yeah, we spoke about it. We initially like lawyered up and got some legal advice on it. And we kind of started pursuing some legal path and then realized like, we're just going to get buried. Like, they've got tens and tens of lawyers just for this. And we're a small team and like don't have enough traction or VC backing or anything like that to try and fight this. So yeah, I felt like a failure instantly. And I went into like a shell, man. I went hide in for many years after that. Like, I just removed myself from my social graph. I went into, and I think that's why I pursued the apprenticeship with Sam and that so hardly, because I was like, this is a chance to just go into the lab and just get obsessed with like coming out stronger, better, faster, and just like leveling up massively. And I stopped drinking for 3 years. I didn't go on holiday. I didn't take a break. I worked from 4:24 every morning. Read fucking 500 plus nonfiction books and entrepreneurial books. And yeah, man, I was just, by today's word, locked in, but like I couldn't imagine anything but coming out of that experience, like ready to build a ridiculously good business and like never hit that low point of failure again.
And so how do you recover from that?
I think just reps, a lot of therapy. I actually have I have a performance coach now. I've had one for the last decade. Like, I highly value like having professional people outside your circle who have an independent view of except for just giving you space and some tools to like unpack the most important shit in your life. And I've had like a very close friend group of mine who are all entrepreneurs, and we catch up once a month and we talk about the most important things in our life and how we can help each other and what journey we're all on and how we can all level each other up. So I think, yeah, like having a tight, very trusted, very deep sense of community, having professional help to kind of like level you up and unpack some of those things. And for me, mentorship was a massive unlock. Like, me going all in, got like a risk-free like look at entrepreneurship. Like, I could see what it took to build hundreds of $1 million companies without my own capital or kind of identity at risk, so to speak, again. So I could kind of like be in the passenger seat, but exposure.
So how did you get the opportunity with Sam?
We had one mutual friend, to be fair. Once I like lock in on a goal, I would just like do whatever's needed to get that goal achieved. And there's 1,000 examples, but Sam was one of them. We had one mutual friend. I realized he didn't really drink, but he liked to learn how to DJ at the time. I got him to come to this kind of like event that this DJ was putting on. And then because we weren't both drinking, like the two sober people always end up chatting at the bar, and we were drinking some sparkling water and talking about entrepreneurship and business and what I'd done with PwC and my app at the time. And then just a sponge, man. Like, you told me to read a book, like I'll go read the book. And he gave me this ridiculously big book, Atlas Shrugged, if you know that. It's a fantastic book. And I reckon 3 weeks later, I came back and I was like, hey man, read the book. Like, here's the notes. This is what I like about Hank Rearden. This is what I like about Dagny Taggart. And what do you recommend about that? He's like, dude, like I've recommended that book to 100 people, not one person's read it. And that gave me the keys to the next kind of meeting and dinner and coffee catch up. And then after a few months of kind of dating, let's say, I was like, hey, like, how can we make this a bit more formal? I'd love to go work for you. Like, and then the only job available at the time was being a PA. So I took the PA role, which me from like a awarded entrepreneur to like being a PA felt like this massive fall from grace and this kind of ego hit. But man, it was the best thing in the world. Like, I would recommend any young entrepreneur do, because you're in the room with a successful entrepreneur looking at every move they make. You know, for 3 years, like I wrote every email in that department, like that he sent, or like I saw every single meeting. I sat in every hire, fire, fundraise, strategic decision, business fail or success. Like, you just get the inside look of like actually how to run a business and grow it. And whilst I got paid 50 grand a year to start with, like you'd pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for that opportunity if you knew the value you're going to get from it.
Some of the coaching programs and stuff now, like 50,000, 100,000 easily.
And people pay it and it's probably worth it.
Yeah.
And if you can get paid 50 grand and add some value along the way, yeah, you have to get some lunches and dry cleaning and driving around. It's like, you probably need to learn humility as well. Like if you're a young male with a bit of a ambition, like humility is going to go a long way.
What's the most valuable lesson you took from being under Sam?
I think the power of mentorship, to be honest. I think just at a macro level, like any idiot can learn from their own experience. I think the true competitive advantage comes from the experience of others. And if you can find a way to absorb and actually like through osmosis, which is just this tangible like absorption of their lessons into your body and like into your psyche, that you would actually make now different decisions based on their experience, I think you're at a severe advantage. And you don't have to spend the 10, 20 years getting it wrong. Or just going slow. Like I'm a big win or learn. Like it's just how quickly can you win and learn that works and keep going, or how quickly can you learn that something doesn't work and then adjust and then figure out what's going to win. And the quicker you can do those iterative feedback cycles, the quicker you're just going to get bigger and bigger wins. So if you can leverage other people's experience, man, it's a winner.
Are you fairly obsessive, Steve?
Massively, yeah.
And competitive?
Love winning. But I play to win. But I think games have two elements of it. One's like this cooperative, we all have to play by the same rules. Like if me and I are playing chess right now, like, and I just pick my pawn up and like just move it 5 pieces, it's like, that's just not the rules. Not fun. You're not having fun. I'm having fun. Or if I like cheat and I'm like putting extra pieces on, or like, not fun either. And you figure it out, and then like we won't play anymore. So there's this beautiful thing about games, which is we have to play to the same rules and like, but like also play to win. And like if you, and I beat you every time in 4 moves, I'm not having fun. You're not having fun. So there's like this element of like, who's going to win? We're kind of progressively getting better the more we play. And we're sticking to this like cooperative game that we're both playing the same game. It's this beautiful like sportsmanship plus like competition. And I think competition has like an ugly side to it. And it's like toxic masculinity and those kind of ugly sides of what is actually quite a pure trait. And I love competition. It brings out the best in people. We all love it. We watch it on sports. We have the Olympics. It's in our nature to grow and to kind of like strive for sunlight, let's say, if we're thinking about the mother nature version of this. But business has this like ever evolving game of it, which is like the rules are always kind of slightly changing. There's laws and there's accountants to kind of keep us loosely in line. But you can like COVID happens and it's like blank canvas and we're all playing the same, blank board again, and who can just problem solve the quickest and the smartest. And I love that element of it. So very competitive, but like I play fair. Like I'm a good sportsman as well.
And so at what point with your experience with Sam did you go, okay, I'm going to go into my own business?
Look, I think it was like a staged approach, to be fair. Like Sam invested into Shine and was like, he's a majority shareholder of it. So it was like I was all in with Sam and like 100% in Sam's world. Then I built Shine. You know, I was the CEO and built it with my 2 hands and a bunch of other like amazing team members. Sam like day to day wasn't that involved, but like from a funding perspective was, and opened some doors and things like that early days. But so I had like, I want to call it like training wheels on, but like there was some training wheels with Shine still particularly early days. And then, did that journey for 7 years and learned how to build. We did tens of millions of dollars in revenue and we're in 7,000 stores. And that was like a great business journey of how to start a brand and learn manufacturing and build team and leadership and fundraising and all those kind of things. And then with Hyro, it's been very much like, okay, like I'm on my own, like completely, like training wheels are off, so to speak. And they're like, to be fair, they've been off for a while, but metaphorically, that's how I'd kind of look at like the progression of it.
Steve, tell me about your first hire.
In Shine.
Yeah.
I think I made the mistake of like trying to be way too buddy friendship. I think business built on friendship is risky. I think friendship built on business is actually safer.
What do you mean?
I think if you have a respect and professionalism built in business and like we're here to do a job and play to win and like play well together, and there's that set up first and then friendship evolves within that kind of container, I think that's a very beautiful friendship, particularly if you like mix in business and friendship. If you have friendship first and all the looseness and the like misunderstandings of friendship, which comes with no like playbook. Then you add the complexities of a bit more of like a business relationship, which needs professionalism and understandings and expectations alignment. I think that's a bit more messy. So when I first hired my first employee, you know, he was a young male, like good footy chat banter, like loved going to the gym. We hit the gym every day. We had a bunch of like fun times together. But then I think I wanted to be his friend more than his boss. And we ended up like clashing when I had to like pull him in line a bit, give him some professional feedback, ask more out of him, and end up having to let him go in kind of, I don't think he passed his probation, which was on me as a leader as much as on him as employee. That was like my first like outside hire. I say that because my first actual hire, I looked at more of that like a business partnership with a guy called Drew, who's still my best mate today. So that was like, he wanted mentorship in the same way that I wanted mentorship from Sam. So he was kind of like my apprentice. I helped, like said, hey, let's come start Shine with me. And then he was like in the trenches with me from day one with Shine. And that was a really great friendship and relationship. And I think that was built on, as I said, like business first, like there was a job to be done, but we both have a love for philosophy and business and entrepreneurship. And he was the best man at my wedding recently, and likewise at his. And that's 10 years in now.
And so how big did you grow the Shine team?
Look, we probably had maybe like 8 to 10. Like the good thing about those businesses are like you have quite an outsourced model. Like you have heaps of people at manufacturing plants, you have heaps of people in agencies, you've got heaps of people in distribution companies with boots on the street. But you can kind of operate quite a lean team, because it's really like you make in stock and then you send it to a manufacturer who sends it to a distributor who sends it to store. And then your job, if you're doing it right, is brand marketing and sales and MPD. And that's not a massive team required until you get to a certain scale where you have to get feet on the street, which in Australia, very few companies get to that point.
And Shine was a pretty novel concept. How'd you come up with it?
Yeah, it was first to market, very much so. Category defining in like the new topic. Beverage, you know, smart drinks were the first to use that terminology, first to put those ingredients on the market. It was a combination of like me and Sam were just working super long hours, like when I was working with him. And like some days we'd get into the end of the day, like we're literally drinking Red Bull. And Sam's a doctor, I'm a health conscious guy. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, why are we drinking Red Bull? Like no one healthy that I know drinks Red Bull. Like Sam knows the science behind it. It's not good for you. And we're like, surely there's got to be something better here. And like, we just wanted to like sit at our desks and like do more work. Like stay locked in, switched on more. Sam was doing speeches, like he would have a Red Bull maybe sometimes before speech. And we're like, we don't need this like jittery caffeine energy, like on a speech. Like you want to be kind of connecting with the audience and, you know, like, but you want to be sharp mentally. You want to be memory recall, verbal fluency, all those things. And me and Drew started going like, surely there's got to be like some ingredients out there. And the science that was coming out around, there are ingredients, food ingredients that help with brain function, cognition function, cognitive function. So ginkgo biloba, turmeric, L-theanine, ginseng, green tea, like green coffee beans, that kind of stuff. And no one had done it. And then it's just like the entrepreneurial classic, like, let's just do it ourselves. And it was like the perfect time. And if I was coming to the end of like my apprenticeship with Sam, where like I had like very itchy feet to like do something and like build something again, outside of like just his companies I was working on. So timing was good. The idea was just like kind of novel enough, aligned to my own passions. Like I was quite interested in biohacking and productivity and optimization, all that kind of stuff. So, and the movie Limitless kind of had come out. It was like, you know, that was a great moment in like culture of like, is there pills out there that kind of make you feel smart, and modafinil and those kind of things were floating around. So right time, right place.
And take me to Drink Hyro.
The world's best electrolytes.
Yes.
Mate, it's been a fun journey. Like I love coming back for the second, or I probably built a few businesses now, but like the second proper big business build. It's fun to like, it's like you figure out how to play The Sims and then you click restart and then you start from scratch. And like, you just know what to do. Like you don't spend time with the shitty jobs and like you wait for the fucking doctor job to come in the mail, and you know which part of the house to build first and how to budget and that kind of stuff. So I think that's just, entrepreneurship does get more fun when you're not like trying to figure out every single thing out. There's like some fundamentals that are just nice to know. But that being said, like it's still a brand new challenge. Like it's way more D2C. In fact, it's 100% D2C, where Shine was very much a retail play. You know, it's like a different timing of the market where Shine was like 2-3 years early on nootropics. Like we were first category. No one had done it before. We were like writing the rule book of how to even explain what the fuck nootropics are. Where hydration, electrolytes, like it's hot right now. Like I think we started the hype in Australia, definitely. But like there's 50 like brands that I could probably count across Australia or like close to Australia that are like launching or launched in this space. So very different like market dynamics. Categories way more defined, way hotter. We got like speed wins wars in this kind of place. And there's a few US brands that you can kind of look to and go, oh yeah, like this is maybe where the category is going. So we can kind of like look at the guardrails a little bit more. And then D2C, like D2C is a whole new playbook, like direct to consumer, paid ads, a lot more organic, social first storytelling, ambassadors, subscription, tech stacks, like all those things I love because it's very tangible, very data. But yeah, new playbook.
You mentioned that you're doing this with your partner.
Yeah, Taylor.
How did that happen?
I think we just had the passion for the space. Like she's always wanted to start kind of a business. When we first started dating, she had a bunch of ideas. When I'd left Shine, I was like, fuck, what next? Like I didn't leave Shine with a particular plan of like, I'm going to go do anything. Like I was thinking taking some time off and travel Europe for 6 months. I just needed a reset. Like I needed a full just nervous system reset and just put my head in the sand for a while, whilst like let everything just kind of calm down in my life. And I was doing some consultancy for a little bit, and then we found out we were pregnant. And
Congrats.
I was like, that was a surprise. I think we found out on my very last day of Shine as well.
Okay.
It was crazy, man. Like the things that happen in threes, like in this world. And I was like, all right, well, I'm not going anywhere. Like Europe's cancelled. I was like, well, if I'm going to be here, if I'm now going to like provide for a family and build for a family and like stick around, well, I've got to go build a brand. Like I love it. I was always going to build something eventually again. So yeah, like digged up my like idea list. I looked at the market, thought about what, you know, was working right now, what was going to work. And like, to be honest, I looked at the sports drink category the same way I looked at the energy drink category before I started Shine. And Shine, pre-Shine was like Red Bull V, 2 old school players, full of sugar, artificial, and nothing healthy, innovative, new age. Shine came along, kind of established that category. Now that category is very established. And then I looked at sports drink, just like same. 2 big brands, Gatorade, Powerade, old school branding, full of sugar, artificial stuff, not disruptive, new age brands with like talking to modern day consumers. And I was like, perfect. Like, why isn't that disrupted? And I just didn't want to do ready to drink. I didn't want to go straight into like Coles and Woolies and 7-Eleven and like its own playbook. I'd just come out of that world. I wanted a break from dealing with range reviews and distributors and things. And I've always had like an itch. I wanted to build a D2C brand. So the margins and the timing and the category all kind of like lined up. And I saw Peter Brennan, who had built Heaps Normal. And I thought that was like such a sick brand where they made like non-alcoholic beers cool. So I was like, all right, I want to got him on board like straight away from like the brand perspective, because we knew we had to like go brand first, social first. And then it's just been a crazy snowball since then.
Yeah. What do you think makes Drink Hyro unique?
Brand encompasses everything. But I'd say from an Australian market, like prior to today's, let's call it next generation hydration players, you had like Hydrolyte, which is like an old school medicinal kind of in chemist, been around for 20, 30 years. Or you had like the sports drinks, and there was no like space in the middle of like the science today is very different of what we know about food science and performance to like nutrition to what formulation you'd actually have in it, like electrolytes. For example, like we've got like double the electrolytes that are in Hydrolyte.
Why
we
is
have
that?
Magnesium. Well, because it was founded in like 2000. Like it was based on the World Health Organization standards of rapid rehydration, which is if you're like in sub-Saharan Africa and you don't have access to clean water and you've got diarrhea, like have that formula. Like that's why it was developed. It's like rapid rehydration therapy. So it's like, what do aid workers give people in that scenario? It's effectively a Hydrolyte formula. is it the best for like everyday optimal hydration? Is it the best for like endurance and athlete sports? Is it best for like workouts? No, that's not what it was researched and designed for. Where we now know through sweat tests and way more like just food science of what our body sweats out and the ratios of sodium and magnesium and potassium. You know, like we know, for example, we need probably a bit more sodium. We need magnesium is amazing from a like muscle recovery and energy production perspective. And like whilst if you like need rapid rehydration, glucose is going to help a little bit. So sugar is going to help a little bit with rapidness. Most people have like a lot of glucose in their bloodstream already. Most people have carbohydrates in their food and diet. So you don't need to drink it at the exact same time you drink your electrolytes. You've probably got it in your bloodstream already. So drinking your calories, I'm not a fan of. I don't think you need sugar in your water. So yeah, we had zero sugar as well, where a hydrolyte has sugar.
So what's been different starting a D2C brand this time?
I would say the reliance on, a bit more like social content, organic, ambassadors, paid ads. Whilst we definitely still need to be like showing up in real life in community, and we've done some sick activations with run clubs and gyms and Pilates and PR stunty kind of stuff, marathons, etc. I think at the end of the day, like the scale is going to come from meta paid ads at the moment, as well as like ambassador partnerships and influence and seed and that kind of stuff. So I think at Shine, it's like, how do we from day one get into retail? Because that's where people are going to buy you and find you. Where with this, it's like, how do we get seen? And for me, I very much look at like a flywheel. And it's like, get awareness, convert to orders, make epic products, delight customers so much that they tell their friends, get more awareness, or come back and buy more. And like that just keeps spinning and spinning and spinning. So it's very much more of an attention awareness game than like a distribution sales game.
So do you think that's been the hardest part, is trying to nail that?
I enjoy it. I think it's not the hardest part for the Hyro journey. I think we've been overwhelmed with demand since day one. Like we've sold out like 8 or 9 times now. Like we just can't keep up.
Why is that?
I think we just resonate in with culture. I think the product's amazing, the brand's amazing, the website's amazing. Like I think we got a lot of things right. The ambassador who got on board is epic. Like I think I knew what I was doing. So like just not making some of those mistakes day one. So I'd say demand hasn't been our issue. Like supply's been our issue, which is like when I started Shine, I was like sales marketing kind of guy. And then Drew, who I told you about, my best mate, he was like operations supply chain. So he like learned how to manufacture and supply chain and forecasting and demand planning and supply planning. And like I oversaw it, but like I wasn't on the tools. Like I wasn't in the spreadsheets. And then when I was doing this, like I have to do everything. So I'm on the spreadsheets and I'm not a demand planner. So like me trying to forecast, like, let's say, when we started, like what does 30% month to month growth look like, which is an ambitious number. But then like if you're doing 300% month to month, it's like 300% on one month is 10 times, but then the next month, 300% on that bigger number is now like 60 times. Yeah. And then you kind of keep trying to catch up and you just can't catch up. Like if you had that initial plan in, so then the conservative nature of managing cash flow and inventory and that kind of stuff. So we've now got someone who like is in the spreadsheets and like supply planning and demand planning for me. But for the first 8-9 months, it was just like constantly out of stock.
Yeah.
And like that was the number one limiting factor. Like we're doing millions of dollars already, but we could be doing even more if we had more stock.
I feel like that's a common issue with direct to consumer startups, is that they just run out of, like if they nail product to market fit, they just run out of stock.
Yeah.
So fast.
I think we get told this like lean startup MVP and it's like the barriers to entry is so low, like build a Shopify website, turn it on, run a couple ads. Like, you can do that without placing like hundreds of thousands of dollars of manufacturing orders. But lead times and packaging and all this kind of stuff, like particularly if it's coming out of China, it's like 3-4 months. And then you've got Chinese New Year, which happened kind of like Jan, Feb type of time. And so, yeah, it's hard once you get it. Like, I think you just got to grow some balls and back yourself. And I probably waited a couple too many months for like that to happen. But look, like I don't complain. I'm super, super grateful for where we are. I just think if I had my time again, I would have placed way big orders way earlier.
Steve, you've built 2 successful drinks brands. Someone wanting to start, what's your advice?
I would say pick a growing category. I think market timing is like one of the most important factors here. Like if you're launching a kombucha brand right now, it's probably not a great idea. Like pre-boke soda is probably peak peak soda land right now. So like probably don't do that. There's a bunch of other categories that are wide open right now that I would do if I wasn't doing Hyro. I would.
Which ones?
Look, I think protein's still like the amount of things that have protein in it, but still like every day I'm looking for more protein in my diet. And I'm like, how do I actually get it? And there's protein shakes, which are a bit old and like the use case around them sometimes. And then you have the protein shakes with lots of calories and carbohydrates. I'm like, why isn't there just a delicious like low cal high protein bar? Like, I don't know how that exists yet. Like Quest did it for a while, then they had a bunch of fillers and shit that was kind of like carbs but wasn't. So that's not really around anymore. David just tried to launch one, which is the guy who did RX bars and sold that for 600 million. Like he's trying to do it, but then like his ingredients list is cooked, like, and that's not in Australia. Like there's a couple like that are like not amazing. Like where's the Snickers? Like where's the Mars bar Kit Kat version of this, which is protein, or like protein chips or protein cookies, or like something that's like super fun. Like people love the indulgent sweet snack. They just want it with like low or zero sugar, and they want it with, ideally, or at the moment for most adult diets, is probably more protein. So I think protein's still like got just a wide range of variations to do. I think coffee is right for disruption still. Like I think the combination of those two, like dare iced coffee, like how's that a $500 million company still? Like it's like 60 grams of sugar. It's delicious. It's a fucking chocolate milkshake with some coffee. And it's like, people love caffeine. People love chocolate milk. Like, of course it's going to work. Why isn't there like a lower sugar version of that with some protein, or like with some just low sugar with some caffeine and delicious cool branding? Like the branding as well. Like that's not the coolest branding in the world. Like there's a brand in the US called Super Coffee, which was kind of that positioning, and I think they crushed it, and that doesn't exist in Australia yet. So there's many. You could take any category and disrupt it and make it. We talked about before, like I just love marketing and branding. Like you can, something that you didn't know you needed, now suddenly is the most important thing you need in your life. Sleep. Like sleep is not being disrupted. Like there's a lot of technology hardware around sleep. There's Whoops and Oura Rings and 8 Sleep, like epic. Like where's that from a food consumable? Like there's no brand that owns the sleep occasion. There's heaps of people combined for morning. AG1 does a great job. Coffee does a great job. Like there's a lot of morning occasions, a lot of afternoon 3 p.m. pick-me-ups. Who's winning sleep? Like fucking someone should win it.
So interesting to hear you. Yeah. So interesting to hear you look at those different categories and also just combine them with like some kind of a food product. It's pretty interesting.
Well, like I look at this from like a Maslow's perspective. Like Maslow's hierarchy, what is like the core needs like you're going to do regardless of fucking AI for the rest of your life every single day? Like you're going to eat food, drink water, and you're going to drink more water than you eat food. So it's like, that's a pretty endless need state. You're going to put something in your mouth probably 3 times a day, and you're going to drink water 5 to 6 times a day, every day. And it's like, why can't you just use that as a platform in basic human behavior to then add a little bit of flavor, function, funness, brand, identity, etc. I think fashion does a really good job of this, which is it says something about who you are by what you wear more than anything. And then after that, it's like what you eat. Like, are you this type of brand or this type of brand? Like the type of coffee order you have potentially says a lot about who you are as well. So I think after fashion, like what we food and drink is like such a core part of our identity and who we are. And it's not going anywhere from an endless need state. So a lot of people get like all jacked up on technology startups and Amazon and Apple and like all this. And it's like the top performing stock on the S&P 500 for the last 20 years was Monster Energy.
Is that right?
That's right. Like
wow.
Caffeinated sugar water. Like, and like pretty cool brand, but a lot of lifestyle marketing, a lot of mainstream America. Like we can tell who the customers are, just kind of close our eyes. But I think if you look at like humans, we are like way more mainstream and way more basic than we probably like to admit sometimes. And I like that. I like the like opportunity that lies in that, because you can take these massive need states and then solve and improve the products and create big businesses. And I think it was Peter Diamandis talked about like, if you want to make $1 billion, like help 1 billion people. Like it's a good way to think about it. 1 billion people need to eat and drink every day. 7 billion people do.
What do you feel
the
like?
Richest guy in China, guess what he does?
Food and drink, mining,
water bottles.
Is that right?
It's just, he just sells.
Actually, that wouldn't surprise me.
Single-use plastic water bottles.
Yeah.
It was Alibaba until they like did something with him, but with Jack Ma, and he disappeared. But yeah, he just got the contract for like, he's the #1 water bottle manufacturer in China. Richest guy in China. So it's like, I love that. And like, yeah, MBA people get all confused and kind of excited about other parts of the world. But man, there's something special about like what we eat and drink. And I think supplements kind of like add on to that, kind of into the repertoire.
What do you feel like most direct-to-consumer brands get wrong?
I'd say brand, and I'd say differentiation. I see so many just copycat Me Too shit, like all the time. And it's like, build a brand that looks legit, feels legit, has a tone of voice, has a position. If you met them at a bar, you understand who they are. Like they're a character, you remember them. They're whatever they are. They're funny or they're quiet or they're entertaining or they're educational or whatever it is. Like pick your niche, pick your like space, and then like be the number one in that space. So many brands just like try to be everything for everyone, or they just try and be like, we're like that brand, but slightly different. Like I saw that brand killing it, so we like did a very similar look and feel. It's like, well, that brand's already doing it. Like if you're following, you're always going to be following, not leading. And then you're just like waiting around to see what they do next. Or you go, this brand over here is now killing it, so then now let's pivot and go copy that brand. And then you get confused and consumers get confused. And so, yeah, I would say have some balls, like pick a category, pick a brand, pick your positioning within it. Definitely keep learning and iterate. But like,
how do you do that? What would you tell a founder? Like, where should a founder go and look, or what should they go and learn from to nail that?
I'm a big believer, like pick a problem that you personally would love to solve. And like at the end of the day, like first round of Hyro, like if we didn't sell any of it, I was fine with that. Like I'm drinking all of it. Like I got my stash. And I think the same for Shine. Like I wanted a nootropic drink. I wanted to feel smarter when I was sitting at my desk getting locked in. Like, so it's like, I understand the nuances and the insights and all those things, like what that product and the brand needs to be to talk to someone like me. And I'm not a one of one. Like most people fit within wider marketing buckets of personas that very unlikely you're going to create a one of one just for yourself. And at least you're starting with a consumer that you understand. My biggest mistake, I think, with FaceBuy, amongst many mistakes, was I was creating a product not for me. Like I wasn't using the bicycle swap groups. I saw girls use it. I saw mums use it. I saw students with textbooks use it. I saw people selling ticket concerts, concert tickets. So, and I was like, I didn't get the nuance. I didn't get some of the consumer insight, which I got with Shine. Like I was the first customer there. I was the first customer for Hyro, and I get it. And then we can build on that once we have team and insight and information and customer feedback and all those things. But to start like 0 to 1, I think scratch your own itch.
Have you had any really lucky moments, Steve?
What's the old saying? Like the harder you work, the luckier you get. And I believe that. I think like luck is when opportunity meets preparation. I believe that. But man, like it's all luck. The universe is a divine place where they talk about in The Alchemist, where it's such a beautiful book. It's one of the first book I picked up when I got into my reading. It's like when you have a purpose, like the universe conspires to help you, and it just moves shit out of the way, and it just opens up opportunities. And like we have this thing like the reticular activating system in our brain that if I like identify, and we all heard the example, like I'm thinking about buying a BMW. What do you see like all the time? Like fucking BMWs and Audis and like the comparisons. And like you never saw BMWs before. Like I bought a Tesla. I suddenly thought everyone in the world had owned a Tesla now. Like, and it's the same for if we have a dream, and if we have a goal, and it's very clear in our mind, and we go like, I want to build a D2C brand that is scalable here, and I can take it to the US, that is in a supplement / wellness space. Like I'm going to see the opportunities. I'm going to like be very dialed in, and the universe is going to just show me, and I'm going to be in rooms, and the same people would be in the room, but I'm going to be aware of what they're talking about. And so I think like have a dream first internally, then communicate it out to people, because people in your network will be like, oh yeah, he's starting that electrolytes thing. You should talk to he runs a run club, and you should talk to the person in the run club goes, you should talk to this person. They're about to do a marathon over here. And that person goes, you should talk to this content creator. They do sick films. And it's like the world conspires to help you. Once you decide what you want, it'll give it to you.
Have you had any major setbacks? I mean, aside from
all of them. Man, I bear the scars of getting it wrong. And that's the fun part. Like, they all learns. I fucked up a lot.
Any of that you want to tell us about?
Look, I think with Hyro,
or any that we can learn from.
I think not backing yourself is always a big one. I think I always hold this part of me that's like I need to surround myself with experts, and because I failed maybe publicly with FaceBuy, I still have this part of me that's like, oh, I can't fuck up again. Like I cannot fail. I need to win. Like I have to. Maybe this is still this chip on the shoulder. Like I have to kind of like prove myself to my family and the world, and then I'm like, okay, how do I increase the chances of success? And I've failed before, so maybe I need to like surround myself with enough people who've done it before. So I'm like safety blanketed, guardrailed to like kind of destine myself to some sort of success. And I think most people, you overestimate how much they know. I think we're all just trying to figure this out, particularly if you're doing something new. I think you might give up too much of the pie. You might kind of give away too much equity. You might not back yourself more. Like if I just backed myself and bought more stock, we would make more money. So I would say, like, the entrepreneur has the foresight to have the insight, and then has the courage to like commit to it and build an idea and make it real. Like keep backing yourself. Like yes, get advice from very smart people and always be triangulating, but it's got to be with a healthy dose of back yourself as well.
Interesting. What's been your process for hiring A-grade talent?
I'm a big culture guy.
What does that mean?
Build high performing teams. I think be very clear on values of like what you stand for, what you don't stand for. And like values need to be something you hire and fire by. You can't just say them and then someone breaks them and then you don't let them go. And for me, like at Hyro, it's very much like speed wins wars, like fuck yeah only, play to win. Like if someone's not moving quickly and they're not getting to an excellent quality and they're not playing to win and they're just kind of clocking it in, like goodbye, like you're not going to stick around. And the people, if we publicly say those things and we put it out there and we show it on our culture, and the people who work for us represent those things, like that will attract more. It's like the honeypot, like, and it's wasp to a flame. Like I think you'll get more and more people coming in who, because you attract it. Like I think what you stand for attracts more of that. So I think that's part one. And I think when I first started managing, I'd be so caught up on this micromanagement part of like, what are they doing every 10 seconds? And like, are they taking advantage of me? And are they working the whole day? And are they working as hard as me? And do they care about it as much as me? And I look at me, I'm starting at 4 a.m. They should start earlier. And like no one's going to care about this stuff as much as we care about it. Like we're the founder. We ultimately get like the massive payoff if this works. Like, yes, we risk it all and we put up everything on the line, but I think you're the founder for that reason. Like you care about it more than anyone, and expecting that of your employees is detrimental. Part two, like not creating a fun place for them to work at just means they're going to go work somewhere else. Like you're not going to get the best of them. And like fun, I say in a way of like playful performance, which is like, we're here to win. Like we're here to like work really hard. We're here to try to be the best versions of ourselves. But like you can have a laugh, you can have a joke with it. You can make sure there's camaraderie in the team. Like people go to war and they get shot at and they might lose some really close friends and family. And then they come back and they go, that was a pretty good experience for most people. And they have this bond with the people who they were in the trenches with, that they would go and sign up for another tour. And they're like up for catching up with the person afterwards for a drink for life. Like, I think that's what you can kind of simulate a bit with business. It's like you're in the trenches. Like we're fighting for our lives here. But like you're going to have a good time doing it. Like that pressure kind of leads to the closeness of some of those bonds.
Do you have any like unique or strange rituals or habits that help you succeed?
I guess from a team perspective, like every single day we do a daily huddle and it's 15 minutes and we start with what we're grateful for and we say how we're feeling, and we have to use a feeling word, not good. And that I've done that for a decade now, and it starts every day at 8:45 and you can't be late. And there's such a good little team sync, and it's even for me like just, okay, what am I grateful for? And it's so easy to get pulled straight into the whirlwind of the day, but just have those little moments for everyone just to check in with, oh, that person's feeling energized, that person's feeling tired, that person's feeling pumped up, or whatever the word is. We've got like an emotion wheel that we kind of try and dig deep on. I think that's really cool. And then very hard to be angry when you're feeling grateful. So it just puts you in a gratitude state. I'm a big fan of Tony Robbins there. And then we just say, what's the number one most important thing for the day, which levels up to like our annual or quarterly goal. And I think that like gratitude plus focus on a team level every day, I think is one of our recipes for success. And I've done that at Shine. I do it now at Hyro. And it's a little different. Like first time someone comes in and starts talking about what they're grateful for in front of the team, feels different, but I like that.
What about you personally?
I get up every day at 4:24, and I don't know anyone else that does the 4:24 number. Do you?
Yeah, 100%.
The exact moment.
Oh no, usually 4:30. Somewhere.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like a 4:24.
Oh, okay. I see.
Like it's the minute, and I love the fact of like owning a minute, because it's like your minute. And when the clock ticks over, you're like, oh, if I don't get up in that minute, it's now not my minute. And it kind of like gets you out of bed. And like 24 is Kobe Bryant's number, and I'm a big Kobe Bryant fan. So like I kind of like get this little flash of Kobe and his work ethic and stuff like that when I'm like maybe not feeling the wake up at 4:24. 4 is my other favorite number. So yeah, I think that's like a little quirk that has served me well over like the last decade. They're probably my two.
Any others?
I love reading books, but I think most people do these days. It's kind of in vogue.
What book would you suggest for a first-time founder?
Oh man, there's so many. You've kind of heard me talk like 33 like wars. So I think 33 Strategies of War by Robert Greene is a good one. His other books like Mastery probably changed my life. I love Ryan Holiday. I think that sets you up massively with stoicism into entrepreneurship. Like Ego is the Enemy is probably one that's changed my life. But then like Obstacles the Way is just a really good like frame of like heading into obstacles with business, which are guaranteed. Courage is Call In, etc. And then like straight entrepreneurial, like Ready, Fire, Aim is probably a really good playbook for like get to market, test, learn, grow, frameworks for success, and actually like practically building businesses. Hormozy, 100 million offers is probably a good way to think about it. $100 million leads is not a bad way to think about marketing. Some of those kind of resources. Grant Cardone, not a bad shout, like just more generalized stuff. Tony Robbins, more in personal development world. And then like I love entrepreneur biographies. Like they're probably like my sweet spot. So Founders Podcast, great podcast to listen to. Or if you like reading, like Rockefeller, Carnegie, Vanderbilt, some of the old G guys, more recently like Jobs. Yeah. Any like entrepreneur, Branson is probably the first one I started with. So,
Steve, what's next for you?
Man, I'm trying to build Hyro into a $100 million brand. I'm trying to do it publicly. We've got a YouTube channel, like weekly episodes, just like what's going on with the craziness of starting a startup with a 1-year-old. Like we started the brand and the baby at the same time. I'm trying to run a sub-3 marathon. I'm trying to be a great dad and be a great father. And ultimately, I'm trying to help and inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs. Like I want them to make less mistakes than I made.
Is there anyone that you think you couldn't have done this all without?
We're here because of our parents. I think massive shout out to my parents, mum and dad. I think Sam was a massive help with my own journey from a mentor perspective. Like all of our first customers and believers at Shine, at a Hyro, you know, like the customers pay the bills at the end of the day. And I think people forget that. And it's like we serve them, and without them, we got nothing. So, and then, mate, today, Taylor, man, like my partner, my wife, amazing mother, co-founder. So just doing it for her, more for the future as well.
Steve, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.